Hey there everybody, Travis Bowman here. I'm a fingerstyle guitar player and retro video game nerd with my first new pickups video since the summer of this year, and we're in December of 2025. So I don't collect a whole bunch of stuff, but you wouldn't be able to tell that from this video. I did get a bunch of stuff between the summer and December of this year, and where to begin? There's a lot of stuff on this table. Some of the stuff on this table is stuff that I don't usually get into, so that'll be kind of interesting, I suppose. And I've got a really cool story at the end of the video for those of you that stick around. I really appreciate you guys watching and subscribing. So let's start, I guess, with the big stuff. We'll get the big stuff off the table first. The first thing that we've got here is a PlayStation 4 box. Now, this is not the console. The console's not in here, but I'm pretty sure all the paperwork and stuff is. This came from a buddy of mine whose name is also Travis. He's a former guitar student of mine. I used to teach his daughter how to play the guitar as well. He's always been the guy that's asking me, hey, I've got this video game thing, do you want it? And pretty much every single time I say yes, and thank you very much. This is the Battlefront edition of the PlayStation 4, the first reissue of Battlefront, not Battlefront 2, mind you. This is a really, really cool console box, and granted, I don't have the console to go with it, but he did include this really cool Star Wars PlayStation 4 controller, which is kind of cool, and worth a little bit more money than your standard PS4 controller, which is really nice, and I was really, really excited to get that. However, it's kind of weird because the PlayStation 4 going to the PlayStation 5 is a very strange time for video games, mainly because you can play every single PlayStation 4 game on your PlayStation 5, but the hardware doesn't always go over so easily. For example, this is a really cool controller, and for the most part, I kind of like the PS4 controller. It's really weird in the hands now because of the PS5 controller. What I'm getting at is that you can't just use this on PlayStation 5 games. You have to use a PlayStation 5 controller just because that's the way that the hardware is. So this is a really cool controller, but I honestly do not see myself actually using it that much just based on the fact that it's not compatible with PlayStation 5 games, which kind of sucks. But still, I'm really happy to have it. It's a really cool collector's item. So big thanks to Travis for hooking me up with that. I am a fingerstyle guitar player and a retro video game nerd. That's what I based this entire YouTube channel on. I know those two things are very strange, and that's going to tie into the story that we're going to do a little later on in this video. But I tell you that to let you know that those are two big things that I am into: guitars and playing guitar, and video games, collecting video games, video game peripherals, stuff like that. I'm not a big toy guy. Of course, we all played with action figures and stuff when we were kids, but that's not something that I ended up going to collect in my later life, you know what I mean? But I did make a couple of exceptions in this video just because I thought that they were pretty cool. Number one is this Action Man action figure right here. Does anybody here remember Action Man? Back in my day, there was the big three in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was Action Man, G.I. Joe, of course, and Max Steel. And Max Steel and Action Man were always back and forth in my house. I think I gravitated a little bit more towards Max Steel than Action Man, but all it is, it's just an action figure. It's a glorified G.I. Joe, to say the least here. And, you know, Action Man, it's pretty cool, but the only reason that I wanted this one complete in box is, number one, because it was very cheap. I found it on eBay when I was kind of scrolling around on eBay. I do that way too much, by the way. But it's got my name all over it. It says Bowman right there because he's wielding a bow and arrow. My last name is Bowman, so naturally I thought, I want to put this in my living room because that's actually kind of cool. And the orange thing, you know, it just screams 90s, this box, and finding it complete for like $25 was pretty freaking cool. One thing about him in particular that I thought was cool back in the day was that his hair, you know, he's got a short buzz cut, but his hair is actually fuzzy. Not that I'm going to open the box to touch it or anything, but I don't know. That's just a cool thing about it, and I'm not really that deep into action figures, but to have this as like a collector's item, a simple reminder of my childhood, it was a no-brainer. So yeah, of course I grabbed that. Let's go ahead and finish the action figure part of the video. Jakks Pacific, for some reason, released a bunch of miniature figurines, action figures, whatever you want to call them, based on old school Sega IPs. which really kind of blew my mind, especially knowing that they were at Walmart. You can go to Walmart and buy a Streets of Rage action figure featuring Axel, which is just freaking ridiculous, man. It even comes with like the little fireball when he does the grand uppercut. I had to get this, and like I said, I'm not into action figures at all, but I'm such a big fan of this era of Sega video games, and Axel is one of my favorite characters ever. So of course I grabbed him, but it didn't stop after that. I found the Altered Beast werewolf from the old school Sega Genesis back in the day. This is just so bizarre that we even have this available. These are like 10 bucks, by the way. I specifically went to Walmart to get this stuff. So when I was there, I had to get II from Super Monkey Ball, one of the cooler games on the GameCube, in my opinion. A Sega franchise for sure. One of my favorite games on the GameCube is Super Monkey Ball. It even comes with a ball that you can put him in. I'm not going to take it out of the packaging or anything like that. But I had these three in particular on display where I work. I'm a guitar teacher for my day job. And I guess my reasoning behind wanting these for my office up there to display them is they're toys. And I teach a lot of young kids. And I guess my idea behind that was if I display a bunch of toys up there, then they'll respect me more. Of course, it didn't work, and it backfired the other direction to where they did not want to pay attention, and all they wanted to do was ask me about that, and can they take it out and play with it and all that stuff. So I figured that's probably not the best idea. I'm going to leave these on display in my home where it makes the most sense to do so. Over Black Friday, I got a couple of really cool deals, mainly the same Jakks-Pacific toy, but now we've got Joe Musashi from Shinobi, specifically the Revenge of Shinobi. This is freaking awesome. Like, I could not pass this up. I mean, he looks so badass. It's Joe Musashi, for God's sakes, you know? I could not pass this up, as well as Gilius Thunderhead from Golden Axe. I could not let those go, especially once I found out that they were $5 each for Black Friday. I doubt that they still are $5 each. They're usually like 10 bucks or something like that each, which is still a really great price. And my prerogative about this kind of stuff is I would much rather have something like this on display than have that typical generic live, laugh, love stuff that you get at, you know, Hobby Lobby or stuff like that. This has personality. It speaks to who I am as a person and the things that I like, so it's a no-brainer. I definitely will put these back on display when we're done with this video. So we got some new controllers in the mail recently. Now, I've done videos on every single one of these that I'm about to show you, and I'll link those in the description if you want to learn more. But for now, we're just going to kind of briefly talk about them. The Xbox 360 is now 20 years old, and as depressing as that is, we don't have to cry about it for too long because we can just explore the Xbox 360 with a brand new controller. This is the Hunter 360 from my friends at Retro Fighters, who were gracious enough to send me this for a review, and I've already done that review video. I really do like the controller. For the most part, it's pretty darn great, and it's really a replica of the original 360 controller, and if you like the 360 controller, then you'll probably like this one too. The plus on this guy is that it's obviously wireless. You have a dongle that goes into your console or your PC. It's compatible with PC, and you've got some other features such as Hall effect joysticks, which is always a big plus. You never have to worry about stick drift with this controller. On top of that, it's got two different stick modes to where you can have them be as responsive as a modern controller, or you can go back to the responsiveness from your original 360 controller, which is a nice touch and it's a lot of fun to tinker with. So I highly recommend this controller if you guys are interested in getting a new PC controller or just breathing some new life into your Xbox 360. Next up, we got some stuff from Nixie. I did a review video on this guy right here, the Master P1. This is a wonderful PC controller, and to be honest, it's my go-to PC controller. This is always hooked up to my PC with a wireless dongle, of course. If I'm playing games on Steam that do not require a mouse and keyboard, I'm playing this. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And I've done an extensive review on it. All you have to know about this thing is that it's really, really reliable when it comes to connectivity. The buttons feel nice. You've got some programmable back buttons back there that you can lock to where they become part of the handles. if you don't want them there. So it's like you don't even notice them until you flip the switch, and then you can actually press them in after that. You've got a similar situation with the triggers. You can lock them to where they don't go all the way. You can do them with just a simple press, or you can turn them into actual triggers. This is a reliable controller, and I've used it for quite some time, but they sent me another one for my girlfriend, Emily. I've got her own desk and PC set up, so naturally I wanted her to have one of these as well. So super big thanks to Nixie for sending that over for her. Speaking of Nixie, we've got this mechanical keyboard with a GameCube theme from Nixie. This is the Striker keyboard, and this is pretty awesome. It's a very creamy sounding keyboard. It's got a couple of extra features such as a dot matrix screen that will allow you to do your own little smiley faces and designs and stuff like that. But you've also got a lot of like macros that you can assign, as well as like a volume wheel. You've got the GameCube color scheme. What's not to love about it? It's a great keyboard, and if you're looking for a new one, you just happen to be a GameCube fan, this is something worth checking out for sure. This next product I showed off in my Black Friday deals video, but it still will apply for anyone that's into video games or collecting or anything like that. This is the Miko air duster that's electronic, and it's got a USB-C charger. Got a pretty hefty battery inside of it, and it packs a freaking punch, my friends. Right now it's at 55% because I've been using it, but that's at 1%, 31%, 61, and I'm really feeling resistance here. It's awesome. It's got a lot of punch to it, and I just, turn that on for how many seconds? It's at 53% right now. So the battery does kind of drain like a tub, but is that really a bad thing? I don't think so, because think about what you're actually going to be using this for. You just want to dust some stuff, get some crud off of your systems or whatever, or even dust out the inside of your system if you're doing some maintenance on it, replacing capacitors, or just doing an overall cleaning. This is a really, really cool air duster, and I'm so glad that I have this, because now I don't have to overspend a ton of money on something as simple as canned air. No more canned air for me. So huge thanks to the guys at Miko for sending me this. One thing from my childhood that I'm glad that carried over, unlike, action figures and collecting all that stuff, is Legos. Everybody loves Legos, man. Legos are freaking awesome. And my girlfriend Emily hooked me up with this Japanese maple tree, which is really, really cool specifically to me, because the Japanese maple, I'm not a big plant guy or tree guy, but it does carry a lot of significance for me. My mother passed in 2021. My father passed away in 2001 when I was 8 years old. And we've always had a Japanese maple tree in my front yard. My dad got it and planted it there for my mom when they moved into this house. To be clear, this is my family's home that I currently live in. My father passed away, my mother passed away, and now I live here. So to have this Japanese maple is kind of cool and special. Japanese maple, there's just something about it. It's a beautiful tree. It kind of reminds you of Japan because it looks just like a tree that you'd see in Japan because it is a Japanese maple, etc., etc. So it means something special to me personally, and I've got a song called Japanese Maple because even though we are in video game land right now, I am a fingerstyle guitar player and retro video game nerd, and I do have a tune called Japanese Maple that's inspired by that tree and various other things that I won't get into right now, but this is super cool, and it was a lot of fun to put together. And I think the reason that Legos are still so popular and still so loved is because it takes teamwork to put them together. I mean, you could put this together yourself, but it was super fun to put this together with Emily, and I think that's the thing that I enjoy the most. Yes, it's nice to have it when it's finished, but the time that we spend together putting it together is worth more to me than the actual item itself. So, Japanese maple, super cool. Really not that expensive either, and you can see how big it is. It's not like huge or anything. There it is next to my head. It took us maybe 30, 45 minutes to put together. It's really not that bad. Now we've got one more controller before we jump into the giant pile of games that you see on the desk here. This is really special. It's really super cool. What we've got right here is the PlayStation 30th anniversary controller. Now, I did not order this from Sony. I did not get this on any website or anything. The reason that I got this, and I guess this is kind of a spoiler for a game that we're going to talk about in a little bit, Battlefield 6. It's one of my favorite franchises for first-person shooters. I will always choose Battlefield over Call of Duty just because it's that much different. The teamwork element is much better, and the realism is, I mean, it's a video game, but as far as realism goes, it's a lot more real than Call of Duty, I would say. It's a cover-based shooter. You have to think tactically, stuff like that. In those games, you have to press in your analog sticks to sprint, or in my case, to crouch. That's what I prefer to do. I prefer to use the right stick, press that in to crouch, instead of pressing circle, because I like to keep all my movements on the sticks if at all possible. So I had two basic white PlayStation 5 controllers, and I got stick drift on both of them, just because I'm already over 200 hours into Battlefield, and that's what it takes, man. Just mashing in those sticks with those stock sticks, you'll get stick drift, and it happens. A lot of people have discovered this. I've never gotten it up until now, but I sure do have it now in those two controllers. So I hit up a guy local to me who's in Bryant, Arkansas, and his name is Eric. And he owns and operates a repair shop that mostly deals with, like repairing phones and typical electronic stuff that gets broken. But he's really jumping into the side project of video game stuff. He's repairing anything PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo. And I'm sure he's trying to go back a little further if needed to do some retro stuff too. But I went in there and I asked him about TMR sticks, because those are the new hot things on the market that will not drift. And then he busted this out, and I was sold immediately when I saw it, because not only is this the PlayStation 30th anniversary controller, which is probably one of the more cooler aesthetic designs for a controller, just because it's PlayStation history, and I grew up playing the PS1, and this is such a cool thing, but it's got the TMR sticks inside of it. So I traded him my two controllers with stick drift, and I gave him a little bit of cash, and we worked out a deal to have me take this home. It's awesome. I've been using it as my primary controller, and I've been mashing those sticks knowing that they're TMR and they will not drift. So huge thank you to Eric, and I did a video about this as well if you want to learn more about it, but I'll put a link to that in the description below if you guys want to check that out. Okay, so let's start with some games. Where should we start? I guess we'll do the PlayStation 5 stuff first. This is a Sega game called Endless Dungeon. It's a bigger box PlayStation 5. This is the day one edition, and I believe it comes with like some sort of cards or something like that. It's basically a tower defense in a dungeon, and that could be very appealing to you. It might not be, but what was appealing to me is that I got this for $11, and getting a PlayStation 5 game for that amount of money is kind of difficult to do. But I managed to do it because I went to my good buddy, the Arkansas Picker. He's got a store here locally in Central Arkansas, and he hooked me up with this for $11, and I was happy to support his store because he's been really grinding at it, and he deserves a little bit of success. So thank you to the Arkansas Picker. I look forward to playing through Endless Dungeon. Okay, so we got some more PlayStation 5 games here. Let's start off with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, baby. Now, this is not for me. This is what I bought Emily, my girlfriend, for Christmas. I gave it to her a little bit early because obviously it's going to be a lot more fun to play through this in the month of December versus after Christmas. This was very cheap for Black Friday. And to be honest, it's not a bad game. It's just kind of a lower budget 3D platformer collect-a-thon situation, but it does have a cooperative element too, to where you can play through these characters. And you can pick a lot of them, actually. Obviously, first player is going to be Rudolph, but you've got all these different characters from this movie. And the animation style is very much on par with the movie. So if you're a big fan of that, then odds are you're probably going to really like this game. And if you've got a younger sibling or somebody that doesn't really get into video games that much but wants to, take part in this, that co-op feature is awesome. You don't really have to do anything. You could give this to your little brother that barely knows how to move a character, and he'll still have a good time. So Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Next game is a game that I bought on launch and decided, you know what, it's not worth this much money, so I'm going to sell it and then buy it later. And later came, and I got it for $15 via Walmart for Black Friday. That's Street Fighter 6. I do not like this game, but I'm a big fan of Street Fighter, and occasionally I still get the itch for it. And I figured this is probably the best chance to get this for a low price for quite some time, because it is still going. You know how games are these days. They put out a game, and then they put out a bunch of DLC and stuff for 2 or 3 years, and then they move on to the next thing. This one does not have any of the DLC on it, unfortunately, but that's totally fine. Realistically, I might not play this one too much because of the other fighting game that I have in the pile here, but still, it's pretty nice to have. Maybe if the buddies come over, we'll bust out Street Fighter 6 and give that a shot. Next up is Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, another game that I looked at in the beginning and decided that's way too much freaking money. Now, if you're a fan of my channel, I made like a community post a few months ago in September when the beta came out for this game. This was an open beta, or I guess they called it a network test. All that was is that you could get the game, download it early, and play through it a little bit online, and the reason that they wanted people to do that is so they could test it and make sure that everything's all good for release. This game is $70, which is way too much money for any racing game in my opinion, but I understand why. They're trying to compete with Mario Kart World and they want a competitive price point, and I can't blame them for that because, I mean, the Sonic stuff is just as important as the Nintendo stuff, and it always will be. No matter what side that you're on, it's important that we had both of those back in the day. So yes, I'm glad that we have this as a competitor to Mario Kart, and it's slightly different with the same sort of mechanics, of course, but I did not spend $70 on this. That's way too much money. And what you may not know is that there is DLC and a Battle Pass or Season Pass, whatever that crap, you know, they always put those in these games now. That is $30 in itself. So if you want to pay that $30, then you'll get a bunch of DLC like new cars and new characters, as well as some new tracks and stuff, which I really hate, you know. I really do not like that, but it is what it is. This was $30 for Black Friday, and I bought myself and Emily a copy. So I got 2 copies of the game for less than what 1 copy of the game would have cost if it was not Black Friday. So yeah, I kind of had to pull the trigger on that, and I'm glad that we did because Emily really likes racing games, and we've been having a blast with it together. We've been racing with each other and against each other online. This is a really cool game. It's worth checking out. It's just, I'm sorry, it's not worth that $70. That's way too much money for a game like this. Next up is a game that most recently came out, and because I gave Emily Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer early, she decided she was going to do the same thing for me. I've got Octopath Traveler 0. Now, I've never played through any of the other Octopath games, to be honest with you. I'm assuming that they're more traditional RPG, but the pixel art style and the music are both insanely good. Like, it's a beautiful game. But we tried out the demo for this that came out about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. And the deal with that demo is that they're going to let you play through it, but you can only have 3 hours of playthrough time. So we played through all 3 hours and we got hooked, and I guess that's the whole idea of the demos, to get you addicted to the game so that you'll want to buy it when it comes out, but it certainly worked on us, so that's exactly what happened. This is a really cool game to play with your significant other because one person can be doing all the battling and the other person is basically watching a movie at that point. You know, it's very heavily story-based. I would not recommend the English voice acting because the Japanese stuff is just that much better. It always is and stuff like this. But from what I've heard about this game, it's particularly not a difficult RPG. It's just more of a story-based thing. But what interested both Emily and myself on this one in particular is the town building aspect. You can build a town and bring other people into your town and have them do stuff and upgrade stuff. And that's always a big plus in an RPG. And I was just telling Emily before we got into this game, you know, we need to play an RPG like that together. And honestly, I was really looking forward to maybe some Lunar or finishing Legend of Dragoon, but I'm just as happy starting this game with her. And we're going to play some more of that this weekend. So we're super excited about that. I'll be very curious to know what you guys think about the Octopath series in general. And have you checked out Octopath Traveler 0 yet? Up next, Ghost of Yotei, baby. Oh my gosh, the hype was so real with this game because I love Tsushima, man. Ghost of Tsushima is one of the greatest games in general. Not just, I'm not even going to put it to a genre because it is that damn good. That game, the story, the combat, I mean, it's an open world that you actually want to be in. And I don't know if you're like me, maybe you're not, but I've grown exceedingly tired of open world games just because it's just a giant open world that lets you do whatever you want, and that can be kind of overwhelming sometimes. And honestly, I need a little bit of balance in my life. It's nice to have a linear story from time to time, Octopath Traveler, but I could not resist this. This is Sucker Punch at its finest. And a lot of people are comparing it to Ghost of Tsushima as far as the story and everything. Arguably, this one's more of just like a classic revenge story, and it is a little predictable in that regard. That being said, there are some things that I did not see coming that eventually came in this game, but I won't spoil that for anybody. If you're a fan of like third-person Assassin's Creed type stuff, and good, storylines that are based in Japan, I can highly recommend this game. This came out on my birthday, and of course I paid the full price for it just because I'm a huge fan. But I'm probably about halfway through, and I can't wait to beat it. I've played a little bit of it the other night because it's been a minute since I played it because of all the other games that I've been playing. But be really curious to know what you guys think about the Ghost series from Sucker Punch, Ghost of Yotei, and Ghost of Tsushima. I've been really feeling fighting games lately, which is why I bought Street Fighter 6, but honestly, I haven't really touched that one ever since I grabbed Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, which is an SNK Neo Geo IP. I think it's 26 years since Mark of the Wolves came out, and that was on the Dreamcast, man. That was a long time ago. But of course, Fatal Fury has been on Neo Geo consoles forever, and so it's nice to see it come back in a big way in a 3D type style. But it's not necessarily like Tekken or Soul Calibur where it's fully 3D and you can do the circular movements and walk around your opponents. It's still on a 2D plane. But from what I've played of this, and I've played through the story of a couple different characters as well as the career mode and stuff, it's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. And in fact, it's so good that it won Fighting Game of the Year at the Game Awards last night. Emily and I watched that together. But it's a great fighting game, man. It's different, and I think it's not that it's bad or that it's good, but it is different, and that's why you should look into it. Because if you're a fan of Tekken or Soul Calibur, it's nice to have competitors, just like it's nice to have the Mario Kart and the Sonic Racing stuff. Those are two completely different games that are of the same basic idea. So if you're looking into a fighting game and you don't want to play the Street Fighter or Tekken stuff, you might really like Fatal Fury. I really, really do enjoy this kind of stuff. Another Black Friday deal that I could not pass up was DRDR Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster for the PlayStation 5. Now, I never played this game when it was out, I think on the Xbox 360 back in the day. I never had the chance to because I had a PlayStation 3. And I was very curious about this one just because the premise is absolutely ridiculous. You're in a mall, which is such a classic zombie setting. Several movies have been based on that kind of idea. But what's really interesting about this one is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and you get graded on taking photographs, which is great because obviously I do YouTube, so I'm into cameras at least a little bit. You kind of have to be. I'm not a photographer or anything, but I think that aspect of it is kind of cool because I'm used to trying to get things in frame, and it judges you based on what you have in frame when you take photos and stuff. I haven't really played too much of this, but this is another great game from Capcom, and I'm glad to have it in this remastered format. And it was like $15, so that's a great price for a game like this, and I'm glad that I found it that way. Not much to say about this one, but we're going to talk about it for just a second anyway. Battlefield 6. There was a lot of hype surrounding this game. Battlefield 2042 really sucked in a lot of people's eyes, myself included. I did not have fun with Battlefield 2042. There was just something about it, coming off of Battlefield 5, which was probably top 3 Battlefield games of all time, and to sink that low with 2042, it did not feel like a Battlefield game. I can say that Battlefield 6 kind of corrects that error. This definitely feels like we're getting back to Battlefield. And, we got the Battle Pass and all that other crap that I don't really particularly care for. But so far, they're not going crazy with the skins. There's no Nicki Minaj or any of that crap in this game. This is a hardcore military shooter that's a ton of fun to play in a squad with your friends. And I highly recommend it if you've never tried it before. Okay, so now we got some older games right here. First off, Win Back Covert Operations for the Nintendo 64. I've got a complete in-box copy of this. I don't know why I do this, but I do this on Nintendo 64 games. The story went that I had the cartridge, but I didn't have anything else. So I got on eBay and tried to find a box as well as a manual. Now, I know technically that does not
mean complete in box, because complete in box CIB should mean everything that was in the box when it was brand new from the factory out on the store shelves would be complete in box. But I don't really care that much, because what we're really talking about is a registration card or like a little teeny tiny booklet that had an advertisement for something else or something. Complete in box to me is the game, the manual, and the box. And that's exactly what I've got right here. So I don't remember where I got the cartridge. I think it was a long time ago. My buddy Blake had a bunch of stuff in his attic that he sent to me, and I did a video all about that too a long time ago. I'm pretty sure that game was in that box. So it was just the cartridge, and I was thumbing through some stuff, and I found that, and I was like, I wonder how much money it would cost to complete that. Not a lot at all, dude. I mean, I already had the box protectors. You order those like in packs of 10, and they're pretty cheap. But the box was like $7 or $8. It was in terrible shape, if we're being real. I mean, you can see the box. It's kind of sun faded, and it's got some wear on the edges for sure. It's been around for a while, and the manual kind of had a little bit of water damage too. But I don't really care that much about it, you know, because how important is it going to be to me that this stuff is pristine? As far as you could tell, probably from this distance, in this box protector, this is a pretty decent condition box. But once you get up close to it, it's definitely seen better days for sure. But that's not the point. I don't know why I'm into collecting Nintendo 64 games complete in box. I guess because it's pretty easy to do. If you can find a box on eBay, that is, for a game like this, and most people will just have a box and put it on there and just want to get rid of it because they don't want to deal with completing it. But I pride myself on being that guy. I've gotten 4 or 5 complete in box N64 games by this method. This is something that me and my buddy Jonathan used to play when we were kids together. You know, we hardly knew how to play video games at all back then, but this is something that we played the crap out of together. And there's a lot of inside jokes about this game that we still share with each other to this day at the age of 33. So, win back, covert operations. So I was in a game exchange the other day, and I was just farting around trying to find some 360 games to play with my brand spanking new Retro Fighter Hunter 360 pad right there. And I stumbled upon 2 that I've played previously but have never tried on the 360. First one is Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Now I have the second one on the 360 for some reason. And if I really think about it, I'm pretty sure I picked it up at a garage sale for like $1 or $2. So it's nice to actually have the first one, because I didn't want to start playing through it, on the second one when I could start with the first one. This one was like $8, and it's in kind of crappy condition if we're being real, but it's got the manual. So not too much to complain about that. Happy to add that one to the collection. Fun fact about me, Soul Calibur 4 is one of my favorite games ever, just because you get to play as this guy. I think that was the coolest freaking thing ever, to have Star Wars characters appear in a Soul Calibur game. And of course you had Darth Vader and Yoda and all that stuff too. But The Force Unleashed, that's where the apprentice, Starkiller, Galen Merrick, whatever you want to call him, that's where he got his first start in his own game. So really happy to add that one into my Xbox 360 collection. Now we got Virtua Tennis 4 on the Xbox 360. Virtua Tennis 2009 is a great game too, and that's one of the ones that I started with on the 360. But Virtua Tennis 4, as of the making of this video, this is the last actual Virtua Tennis game that we have, which is kind of sad because I think this came out in like 2011. I really hope that we get a Virtua Tennis 5 at some point, but even today, and I might be biased because I am playing this through the RetroTink 4K on my 4K OLED television, but this game still looks amazing, man. The graphics in this game are timeless. Like, they still look good. Of course, you can tell that it's on an older system and everything, but it's amazing. Like, it's a very fluid 60 frames per second experience, and I still can't believe how great it looks, and I'm just glad to have that and play with my new Hunter 360 controller. One last thing before the story. I'm a big vinyl guy, or I have become a big vinyl guy, because obviously I'm a musician, but vinyl is such an interesting concept for video game music, because artwork is a big thing about vinyls, and this artwork is freaking phenomenal. This is the Astrobot soundtrack that Emily, my girlfriend, got me for my birthday in October. Like I said, it's been a long time since I did one of these. But what's so interesting about this is that it's got every single song from this game, and Astrobot, if you've never played it before, it's such an amazing 3D platformer. It won Game of the Year last year in 2024. I'm really happy to have this because this might become a rare thing in the future. I don't know. Astrobot is a franchise that's probably going to be sticking around for quite some time. So who knows? Somebody might really want that in the future. And I'm pretty sure it's still for sale. But still, I listened to the whole thing and it's great. And I can't wait to do it again. Astrobot, really great, fun soundtrack on your PlayStation 5. Now it's the story time. I've got one last thing to show you, and it's probably the coolest thing on the table just because of what it means to me and all of the time that's been put into this kind of stuff. But anyway, I've mentioned every single time when I do videos like this that I am both a fingerstyle guitar player and a retro video game nerd. I actually started on YouTube just doing fingerstyle covers and arrangements of video game songs and stuff like that, and then I went full force into kind of showing off my collection and doing reviews and stuff like that. But when I first started out, I was in like 9th or 10th grade in high school, and a teacher named Tim Hall, somebody that I still correspond with every now and again, really positive male figure in my life, asked me to learn how to play a song called Little Martha by Dwayne Allman, and that is a fingerstyle type song. And then I found Leo Kottke after that, Michael Hedges, Andy McKee, Antoine Dufour, Ewan Dobson, all the list goes on, you know. And my life totally changed after that. I became a fingerstyle guitar player. When before I just wanted to play blues and stuff, but there's something about it, man. I can't explain it. And that's how you know you've truly found something that you love, is that you can't explain it. You don't know why you love it. You just do. I mean, it's cool. Obviously, you're into it because you think it's cool. But I've been playing fingerstyle guitar for quite some time, and I've worked extremely hard. And with my ability to play the guitar, I have been able to do some really cool things. Number one, I'm paying for this house right now with my ability to play the guitar. Obviously, that's not specifically fingerstyle because I teach young kids and older people as well. But I've made money teaching fingerstyle guitar on the internet on the side. And because I play the harp guitar, I was invited to go to Dubai for 7 months. And I had a residency gig out there in Dubai. And I was out there for that amount of time just playing stuff that I like, fingerstyle guitar out there. And I worked extremely hard, and I won the Ernie Ball Acoustic Prodigy Contest when I was like 23 years old. Andy McKee produced my 3-track EP that came out in 2016, I think. I've had a pretty decent career despite not being a touring musician. And it's obviously because I've put in so much time and love and effort into it. It's meant a lot to me. I'm telling you all of that, not to like brag about anything, you know, but to set up this story. I'm a huge fan of Andy McKee and Antoine Dufour, and their videos on YouTube really got me inspired to play music myself. And if it weren't for their music, then I would not probably be sitting here right now being a YouTuber or anything like that. And I wouldn't have a job, if we're being real. If they hadn't inspired me to keep going and playing guitar, I probably would not have won any of the awards that I've won, and I would not be a guitar teacher. I hosted an event called the Harp Guitar Gathering in November of this year, 2025, which is a huge honor from another hero of mine, Stephen Bennett. I've been working with him quite a bit to kind of push the Harp Guitar Gathering to some younger players. And that's such a great honor, and I feel that responsibility very deeply because Stephen Bennett is one of the best fingerstyle guitar players and best musicians on the planet as far as his melodicism and everything, and he's just a great guy. But that's beside the point. Antoine Dufour was chosen at my request to be the featured performer because Antoine is also a harp guitar player. Antoine, he's up there, man, with Andy McKee. Like, it's him and Andy McKee that really kind of started it, and I guess Don Ross as well. Those are the big three of Candy Rat Records back in 2006, 2007, that golden age of fingerstyle guitar videos. After the death of Michael Hedges and all that stuff, you know, there was a new wave of people that were creating these compositions using fingerstyle on their acoustic instruments, and from there, you know, it's blossomed, and it's such a unique part of history. But what's really unique and cool for me is because, I had the opportunity to invite Antoine personally. And, we've hung out a couple of times over the years, and it's we've been in California at the NAMM show together and other places and everything like that. But I invited him to be a part of it, and he said yes. And I just casually said, hey, before this event gets started on a Wednesday night, the event started Thursday night. Wednesday night, I'm having some friends over, and we're just going to hang out and kind of ease into the whole weekend with some retro video games. We're going to have some drinks and yada, 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 and some food. So if you want to come by, you're more than welcome to. I'd love to have you. He came over to my house, sitting on the couch behind me, one of my musical heroes that is responsible for my life being the way it is right now, essentially. Antoine Dufour sat on my couch and was playing Mario Tennis with me, dude, And I realized that most of you might not know who he is because you aren't a super big fingerstyle nerd. And I realize how strange it is to have a YouTube channel that's both about a very specific style of guitar playing and retro video games. I know that that's weird. But I just want you to fathom just how cool that is. Imagine your musical hero, whether you're an instrumental guitar player, a musician, or not a musician at all. Imagine how cool that must be to have all those years of just studying this person's music and their style and trying to, watch those 240p videos and slow them down to see what their right hand is doing so you can try to mimic it because you can't find a tab or standard notation for what they're doing. Being that obsessed with trying to learn from someone like that and someone that you really respect and have grown up with, just to have them in your house just chilling playing video games is a pretty freaking cool thing, man. And I really appreciated him for doing that. This is the last thing that I have to show you. This is a DVD of Antoine Dufour and Andy McKee that came out in like 2007 or something like that. And I've had it all this time. In fact, I'm pretty sure maybe Andy McKee sent this to me. I honestly do not remember. Andy McKee's a great guy. He sent me some stuff a long time ago when I was a teenager because I couldn't make it to his show for whatever reason because it was 21 and up at the time. And at the time I was a teenager. We were going to drive, I think it was either to Memphis or Nashville to go see his show. But he felt bad that I couldn't come, so he just sent me some stuff. And I've always remembered that. I'm pretty sure this is something that he sent me. Maybe I didn't purchase it. I honestly don't know. We're talking like almost 20 freaking years ago, man. But that's beside the point. Andy signed it a long time ago, and I completed the collection, so to speak, with this DVD. Antoine Dufour and Andy McKee. I got Antoine Dufour to sign it at the Harp Guitar Gathering. So this is something that I keep back in my music room now, sitting on my desk to kind of remind me of where I'm at and how far I've come. It's an amazing thing to work really hard and become a guitar player that's kind of like these guys, but it's another thing to call both of them your friend. And that's an amazing thing to me because I have so much respect for these guys, not only for their music, but because both of them are genuinely nice human beings. And that's something that is constantly said, never meet your heroes, but I'm glad that I met those two guys because at the end of the day, they've both been pretty freaking cool to me. So that's how we're going to end the video, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thanks for sticking around for it. Thanks for sticking around for these pickups that I got. I know these videos aren't typically some of the heavy hitters on my channel, but I still like to do them anyway, because they're fun. And I hope you guys had fun watching. You should check the link in the description below if you're interested in any of this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll catch you guys at the next video. Merry Christmas! I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.